There's new work being done to keep nitrates out of Iowa's water supply. Local 5's Emma Stroner talked with Iowa State University researchers to see one method that could keep our water clean.
Agriculture is big business in Iowa, and in recent years that means high levels of nitrates from our state's farms are ending up in the water supply.
80% of the nitrates in central Iowa waterways are coming from agriculture.
Earlier this year, high levels of those chemicals exceeded EPA standards in Des Moines. Adam Shriver, the director of wellness and nutrition at the Harkin Institute, says new research shows levels even lower than 10 milligrams per liter could cause health problems.
There have been studies that showed that nitrate levels even above 5 or even above 2.5 have some relationship to cancer.
Now, researchers at Iowa State University's BioCentury Research Farm are looking at whether slow-release fertilizer can reduce runoff.
What we are anticipating that this biochar-based slow-release nitrogen fertilizer can timely release the nitrogen to the agricultural crop, which can increase the overall crop productivity while it increases the water quality, improves the water quality because less nitrogen will leach out from the agricultural field to the water body.
That's Dr. Shantanu Bakshi, and he's been working with CEO of Reform Bio, Kyle Anderson, on this project, who says they aim to make the new fertilizer accessible to all Iowa farmers.
Our goal is that a farmer will buy fertilizer in the same way that they always have. Go down to the co-op and buy fertilizer for your field.
And once the fertilizer gets into the fields, the two behind the product say it'll help utilities keep costs down.
Des Moines Water Works isn't going to have to run the nitrate cleaning facility 24/7 all summer long.
A recent forecast put out by the USDA is calling for record-breaking yields nationwide. Local 5's JD Snover caught up with local farmers to see if that's what they're expecting.
These once green corn stalks have now turned golden brown as the harvest season gets underway.
It makes sense to some extent that we've got an early start to harvest so far this year already.
Iowa State University field agronomist Megan Anderson says in the middle of September, some fields are looking like they normally would be near the end of October.
Corn is drier than it typically is this time of year, partially probably due to those weather conditions, but also because of the things like the southern rust. And so I think that as soon as people are able to get out in those fields, it'll happen rather quickly.
Although the USDA's September forecast is predicting record-breaking yields nationwide, consistent with reports from earlier in the year, Iowa farmers say things like crop diseases mean that may not be the case right here at home.
What's been harvested so far, folks are seeing about, like on corn, around a 20 bushel drop on yield.
It's also a product of wet fields toward the end of planting season, followed by a recent dry spell.
I wonder if some of that significant rainfall early in the season meant we had a smaller root mass, which meant when we did get dry, we weren't able to tap into that moisture that very well could have been available deeper, but we really dried out that upper surface where the majority of the roots are.
And the harvest time is returning at the same time that prices are falling while inputs are rising.
Things are pressured pretty good right now. There's a lot of folks out here in the country that are feeling it, and people are stressed out.
Kuiper says his answer for relief is biofuels and things like year-round E15, while others are hoping for easing trade tensions with countries like China to open up export markets. In rural central Iowa, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
Well, 5 teens were killed in separate car or motorcycle crashes across the state on Saturday. The crashes happened in Plymouth, Poweshiek, Guthrie, and Lee counties. Local 5's Alex Fulton spoke with the father of one of those victims on the heartbreaking call he received. Alex.
Stephanie, Savannah Mathis's father, Michael, feels like he has to be strong for her 3 siblings who live in Pennsylvania. The father tells me his priority right now is being there for them because they aren't doing very well.
I hope you're dancing in the sky.
I'm not 100% ready to accept the fact that this even happened.
Shortly before 5 on Saturday evening, 17-year-old Savannah Mathis was driving on Highway 44 near Panora. Her father, Michael Montefia, says at the time she was headed to her boyfriend's house.
She would give the shirt off her back to anybody. She'd help anybody. She was there for anybody, no matter what was going on in her own life.
According to a crash report, the Panorama High School senior crossed into the eastbound lane and hit a truck head-on. The teen was declared dead at the scene.
I have 3 more children that now I have to sit here and face, and I don't know how to console my 3 other children about what happened to their sister.
Saturday evening, Montefia, who now lives in Pennsylvania, got the news from a family friend.
I freaked out. Like, she's my oldest child. Like, I lost control of myself. Like, not something I ever thought I was going to hear come from someone's mouth.
Savannah had just been accepted into her dream school, Iowa State, to study veterinary science.
When she was elementary school, some of middle school, she had wanted to be a marine biologist, and then she just kind of went a different route, but still wanted to work with animals.
Savannah had big goals in life, and now she won't even be able to graduate from high school.
Yeah, I just want them to know that my daughter was a loving, caring girl. Like, my daughter loved life. This didn't need to happen.
Now, the truck that Savannah crashed into had 2 children and an adult driver, according to Iowa State Patrol. One of the children was life-flighted to a hospital with suspected serious injuries.
Officials believe a water cooling tower in North Marshalltown could have been where the Legionnaire's disease outbreak started. As of today, there are now 61 cases in Marshall County. That's 7 more than yesterday. Local 5's Alex Fulton checked in with officials on where they're at with identifying that source. Alex.
Well, Stephanie, once a sample from a cooling tower is sent off, it can take up to 14 days for it to come back positive for Legionella bacteria. That threshold has passed for some of the tests performed, and officials are hoping one of the others will trace back to a tower.
We're working together night and day to figure out what's causing this outbreak and to make sure that it stops.
State epidemiologist Dr. Matthew Donahue has zeroed in on cooling towers as a source for the Legionnaire's outbreak in Marshall County.
It's more likely one cooling tower, but it's not impossible that it could be more than one.
Health officials have been actively collecting water samples from cooling towers at 12 businesses in North Marshalltown. The samples are sent off to the State Hygienic Lab in Iowa City, where they're run through a filter to identify Legionella bacteria.
It's hard to grow in a lab, but we're relying on it growing to be able to determine which of those 12 business centers with cooling towers it could be. So right now, from a testing standpoint, it's a waiting game.
Still, health officials aren't waiting to work with the businesses in question on how to disinfect their cooling towers.
We know that we might not be able to find which cooling tower. So we're making sure that every cooling tower in the area that could be responsible has begun some thorough disinfection procedures.
Public health officials have already contacted all of the businesses and suggested they hire professionals for water treatment.
From the moment that we have tested each one of those cooling towers, we have recommended that remediation process before we've had any test results.
Marshall County Public Health Director Sydney Gruwell says the 12 businesses have been willing to work with her department to end the outbreak.
People that we have tested these cooling towers with, they have been very responsive to get these remediation practices in their cooling.
Now, public health leaders say anyone who visits or lives in North Marshalltown shouldn't worry about getting Legionnaire's disease. Most people have already been exposed, but only a select few will develop symptoms. Stephanie?
Well, city leaders in Urbandale are looking to add more affordable housing to the area. Local 5's JD Snover went to find out what they want to do.
This empty lot behind me at 112th and Douglas in Urbandale used to be a motel. Now there's a vision from city leaders and others within the housing community to turn it into affordable units.
That's the best thing you could possibly have, is a site that's already totally cleared and has city approval and everything that's needed.
Everything's in place for new affordable housing along a key street in Urbandale, except having someone to do the actual building. The city has issued a request for proposal inviting developers to come forward with their planned concepts.
They have done a lot of work in advance to make sure that this project will be successful, and now they're just seeking that developer partner to be able to put the project together.
They want housing targeted for residents at or below 60% of the area median income, and they want to guarantee affordability for at least 20 years. Leaders say it's the right spot for a project like this because it's located in the middle of the city.
So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs within a reasonable distance that those folks may want to be residents of this new building. But you'll notice there's not a ton of housing that's right in there close to where those jobs are.
Hauge also says suburbs like Urbandale are disproportionately affected by issues that are related to housing.
When buildings are newer, they usually come into the market at a higher average rent. And so you see that a lot of times newer housing is just more expensive. It's also more expensive to develop housing in these parts of the metro, and that's because land costs tend to be higher.
And it's part of a broader vision to revitalize this part of town. In a statement to Local 5, Urbandale spokesperson Derek Zarn says in part, quote, "We see a mixed commercial and residential neighborhood that's a great place for commerce and a great place to call home."
In Urbandale, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
The Catholic Charities Food Pantry in Des Moines is welcoming people inside once again after a car slammed into the building last March.
And they've also made several upgrades during that time, and they even added some new safety features to the space. Local 5's Megan McPherson is live outside of the pantry with more on how the staff and the volunteers at the pantry, Megan, were able to overcome quite the setback here.
Yeah, Dana and Joseph, several volunteers and staff members were inside of the Catholic Charities Food Pantry here off Hubble Avenue in East Des Moines when a car crashed into the building last March. Well, now you see these yellow safety bollards that were installed out front, and they aim to help prevent something like that from ever happening again. And they are among several upgrades that were made as crews rebuilt one part of the pantry. Now, even with the significant damage, Catholic Charities continued serving families through their free food window. But during construction, those who rely on monthly food assistance from the pantry could not come inside to shop. Well, now 6 months later, the monthly market is back open with wider aisles and a better shopping experience that will be able to serve even more people. The crash also destroyed an estimated 10 to 12,000 pounds of food, but support from community partners has helped replenish their stock.
We had eggs, we had produce, lots of canned food was damaged. So it was a fairly good impact, but we've had wonderful partners in DMARC and the Food Bank of Iowa, and they were kind of able to help us kind of subsidize and replace that food.
The pantry serves around 150,000 people each year, and staff say that demand over the last 5 to 6 years has increased. Well, the renovated market space is double in size, which will allow them to expand their food services. Now, anyone in need of food assistance can come here to the food pantry for support. There, again, are two sides. There is the free daily food window that offers things like bread, produce, milk, and eggs, but families can also get a 3-day emergency food supply from the monthly market. The market is open from 10 to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 9:30 to 12:30 on Fridays. They are closed on Saturday and Sunday. Live in Des Moines this morning, Megan McPherson, Local 5 News.
The interest rate now stands between 4 to 4.25%, but what does that mean for you? The Local 5's Alex Fulton joins us now after asking economists that very question. So Alex, what's the expected impact on everyday Iowans?
Stephanie, the Fed interest rate affects everything from mortgage rates to credit cards to car loans. Economists tell me, unfortunately, the impacts of the rate cut on those items will be small, at least for now.
The labor market's weakening. It's weakening in the U.S. and it's been weakening in Iowa as well.
Ben Murray with Common Sense Institute Iowa explained that the Fed cut interest rates because the U.S. labor market is weakening.
The Fed is hoping that by reducing interest rates down to what they would call the neutral rate, they can help provide a little bit of stimulus on the monetary side to the economy and prevent a sharp downturn, a detrimental downturn in the labor market.
He predicts the immediate impact of the quarter-point cut will be minimal, but expects Iowans will feel the effects in the long term.
If cutting rates and continuing to cut rates allows inflation to start ticking up again, then that's going to really be hard on Iowa families who are already struggling with inflation.
For farmers, Iowa Farmers Union President Aaron Lehman says the cut is expected to make farmland slightly cheaper.
A lot of farmers are making payments on the land that they're farming, and sometimes those interest rates are variable. Often they are.
The Fed has indicated there will be further cuts in the year, and Ben Ayers with Nationwide expects those to provide reprieve.
If we do see further cuts from the Fed, you will see some downward pressure on mortgage rates, on auto loan rates, and so some of those key rates that have held back many people from potentially buying a home or buying a car or making a big purchase.
Now, the Fed's goal with cutting interest rates is to get inflation down to 2%, which is at pre-COVID levels. It predicts that will happen 3 years from now in 2028. Stephanie?
Tonight, the Oskaloosa School Board met to decide the future of a teacher who posted an inflammatory Facebook post on the death of Charlie Kirk. Local 5's Larissa Leone attended the meeting. It has the details of the school board's decision. Larissa?
Yes, Stephanie, there was a lot of parents and community members that showed up tonight for a peaceful meeting here at Oskaloosa School Board. Right behind these doors is where they made their decision tonight, and that decision was to terminate the teacher.
The small town of Oskaloosa is typically quiet, though the social media post made by a local teacher following the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has the whole town talking.
You don't need to be putting that out there for the children.
I think it was a lapse in judgment, but I do think these are the kind of things that he probably can't recover from.
I pray for his family, but I don't want him in the school district.
Keeping local police busy.
This is out of character for us to have national news, statewide news in town, but we just deal with it the best we can.
On Wednesday night, the school board met to determine if the teacher behind the post should be terminated, as recommended by Oskaloosa superintendent.
There was a unanimous vote to terminate the continuing contract.
Parents attending the meeting say the decision to fire the teacher was the right call.
I just hope that he realizes what he did was wrong.
Some parents believe the school board could have moved quicker on this issue.
I think they could have acted quicker. I think they could have gotten out a statement quicker.
While others are happy with the timing of their response.
Everybody's like, oh, they should have done it faster. They should have done it faster. But I don't think a lot of people know, there's rules and regulations.
The district says it was following Iowa Code 279.15. To be in compliance of that code, the board says it could not have made the decision faster.
I can say, according to Iowa law, this was as fast as we could move.
Now, of course, we spoke to the superintendent about why he decided to make that move, and the board's vote was unanimous. They hope that this sets a precedent to other teachers, that moving forward, this is how they will handle these cases. In Oskaloosa, Larissa Leone, Local 5 News.
And it's not just local school boards that are discussing issues surrounding free speech and where employers draw the line. Local 5's Emma Stroner is here with the approach the Board of Regents is now taking with higher education.
Stephanie, the board says all 3 public universities here in Iowa must investigate employees immediately if they violate social media policy and place those employees on administrative leave. In the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death, thousands of reactions were shared on social media, including some posts from university employees that the Board of Regents say were deemed, quote, offensive, inappropriate, and above all, unacceptable.
We've seen some appalling things on social media in the last week.
But there's a question many want answered. Isn't that free speech?
We also understand that some appalling things are protected by the First Amendment. So the purpose of this is to delve in and to see if any of these cross the threshold to where they're so disruptive to the university that they still need discipline in an employment sense.
It's something the board considered and something that's listed under its rules. Chapter 4.2 says that employees do have the right to speak their minds on social platforms, but only if they make it clear they're not speaking on behalf of the school and the comment isn't potentially harmful to the community. The board says university officials need to finish their investigations within 2 weeks, and while a majority of board members approved the rule, one said it wasn't an easy choice.
I was very close to voting no because I believe that in at least one case, there's very little investigation to do.
The board says those who don't follow the policy will be fired, but it gives permission to university presidents to make that call. It's unclear right now how many staffers have been removed from the classroom or any other job in the week since the shooting.
Just a day after the Oskaloosa School Board fired Matthew Cargill for a controversial post he made about Charlie Kirk, Cargill is suing the school district. Local 5's Emma Stroner joins us now with the latest information. And Emma, what can you share with us?
Stephanie, this all just started 8 days ago. If you take a look beside me here, Cargill posted, quote, "one Nazi down" on his Facebook page on September 10th. Then hours later, the district received an outpour of phone calls and emails condemning the comment. The next day, the Oskaloosa School Board planned a special meeting on September 17th to consider his termination. During this time, the employee was placed on administrative leave. Then last night, Cargill was fired. In the lawsuit filed by Cargill, the suit claims that he was not on duty when the post was shared, did not threaten anyone, and his profile was not connected to his job as a high school art teacher. The suit also claims the superintendent condemned the speech on a basis of personal belief. Now, here's what we know about Oskaloosa's employee expression policy. The policy states that an employee is protected by the First Amendment when they're speaking on behalf of themselves on a public matter. However, it also states that if the speech is harmful to how the district operates or the employee's work performance, they can be fired or face other consequences.
We apply to our policies and look through legal facts with our legal counsel and make the best recommendation based on policy, law, and our vision culture.
You just heard from Oskaloosa Superintendent Mike Fisher, who says the board acted in accordance with policy. When asked about a potential lawsuit last night, he said that public schools are, quote, always at risk of lawsuits, and it's something that comes with his position. Now, the lawsuit does include a demand for trial, so our team here at Local 5 will keep you up to date with this case and further actions taken. Stephanie?
Well, it has been 1 year since the Des Moines City Council passed an ordinance banning public camping and promised to invest more resources into support for the homeless. Local 5's JD Snover talked to organizations that provide support to check in on what they've been seeing.
1 year after the Des Moines City Council officially passed an ordinance restricting camping in public places, new data from local homeless advocates show they're seeing the highest numbers of unsheltered folks they've seen since they began their summer survey.
We're a community. These are our neighbors.
Kathy Cody with Hope Ministries says August was one of the busiest in the organization's history, dating back to 1915.
We served over 20,000 meals in that 1 month's time frame.
And that's coming at a time they've seen a drop in donations.
And that's something we've seen too with the economic situation right now, is the number of food donations that we're receiving has gone down the last couple of years.
They've recently expanded their women's center and are housing 250 people within their 3 locations. New data from Homeward Iowa's biannual point-in-time study backs her up. The summer version saw a 5% increase in total homeless people from last year, with an 18% jump in the unsheltered category.
We have teams of service providers as well as volunteers that go out to the community and actually interview folks that are living unsheltered, meaning they maybe live outside or in a place not meant for human habitation.
Arthur says it's a complicated issue with more than one cause, but housing affordability is near the top of that list due to rising costs for everyone involved.
As we see our population growing, we need more resources and quality housing stock.
And she says there's not one true solution to that either.
Folks that are experiencing homelessness or housing instability are varied. You might have larger families that need more bedrooms. You might have someone with mobility issues that needs to be able to be on the first floor. You might have 2 folks, so you need, room for 2 individuals.
In Des Moines, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
An Ankeny business owner is using her restaurant to raise money for her daughter who recently lost her home. Local 5's Alex Fulton shares the story of a mom who decided to take action.
Lydia Pierce and her boyfriend Blake Iske now have next to nothing after a fire broke out at their house. Lydia's mom actually owns Curbin Cuisine restaurant in Ankeny, and she's doing what she can to try and help them rebuild.
I just knew that I had to do anything possible because they literally have nothing.
In the back of the house, it's business as usual at Curbin Cuisine.
You don't build a home overnight. It takes days and weeks and months.
But on the front counter, there's a tip jar for a good cause.
She's my daughter. I'm the owner. It's just a no-brainer. It's what I have to do.
Owner Misty Fontanini is collecting donations for her daughter Lydia Pierce, who lost her Baxter home in a fire on Saturday.
They just moved into this home 2 weeks ago, and so everything was fairly new to them. New furniture that just got delivered within days. All a total loss.
Lydia is an EMT and her boyfriend Blake Iske is a volunteer firefighter.
They're both very young, still in their early 20s, still have a whole life ahead of them, but I definitely know that they were not anticipating having to uproot their whole lives this soon.
After working an event in town, the pair returned to find their home in flames.
Blake geared up in his fire gear and went into his own home with a fire extinguisher and a hose to try to put out what he could before the fire crews could get there.
Their cat Twitch and 2 dogs, Trigger and Diesel, didn't make it out alive.
Trigger was the German Shepherd, Serena's the Lydia's service animal and partner, always with her, always her companion with her.
It was never a question for Misty to dedicate a day to raising as much money as possible for Lydia and Blake.
Ankeny is a great community, and they always seem to come together for people in time of need. So my daughter and her boyfriend may not live in this town, but we are here, we're a part of this town.
The fundraiser runs until Curb and Cuisine closes at 8 p.m. tonight. In Ankeny, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.